Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Smiths Falls Police Service Board for April 17th, 2024. I'll open the meeting with our land acknowledgement. On April 17th, 2024, we acknowledge that the sacred land in which Smiths Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years. It is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral, unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We're also grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution to the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smiths Falls. We're mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, and be mindful of generations to come. I've got no remarks of my own today, but I'll turn it to Acting Chief Empey for comments on a couple of our officers who received commendations recently.
So recently, Detective Constable Jason Dreesky and Tyler Brett both received commendations for their work on a quick project that we did in town and surrounding areas with OPP CSU team. They received commendations from the Chief Superintendent Stephanie Patterson out of East Region OPP and myself for their work and dedication on shutting down some of the drug houses that we had in the area that we were receiving a lot of complaints for. And with these two officers and everything that they do on top of our major cases such as the missing person and as well as everything else that comes in, these two do a lot of work on the front line, and as well as our frontline support of our officers who get all the intel and information and stop vehicles leaving these houses and keeping our community safe. So very proud of them and the whole team that we have here.
Wonderful.
So thank you for recognizing them as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, ask for any additions to the agenda. Seeing none. Approval of the agenda. Moved by Jen, seconded by Rob. All in favor? It's carried. Ask for declaration of interest. Seeing none. So we need to, we have a number of in-camera items today. So I need a motion. The Smiths Falls Police Service Board move in camera to discuss items pertaining to intimate financial or personal matters or other matters that may be disclosed of such a nature having regard to the circumstances that the desirability of avoiding their disclosure in the interest of any person affected or the public interest outweighs the desirability of adhering to the principle that proceedings be open to the public in accordance with Section 35(4)(b) of the Police Services Act. Moved by Jen, seconded by Rob. All in favor? We're going to move in camera. Oh, there they are. Okay,
Should be good.
okay. Moved by Jen, second by Rob, all in favor. It's carried. Business arising from the previous meeting, the 2023 budget update. Acting Chief Empey.
So I am happy to say we got our final 2023 budget. It looks good. We're at a total of 125,497 surplus. So the final numbers of the budget was $5,101,293. So we had budgeted for 5.22 and we came down to 5.101. So everything looked good for 2023 budget.
Thank you.
So I'll have that in my annual report in the next week or so. Everything will be posted.
Any questions or comments? I'll keep moving ahead. 2024 budget update.
2024 budget update looks good as well. Everything is stable in our budget lines. The only one that was a little high is our part-time wages. That is still for staff training. We had sick leave that we had to cover, as well as a maternity leave still. But everything else is looking balanced and good for the end of March.
Thank you. Again, any questions or comments? No, we're well on track. Thank you. And new business, we have the Community Safety and Policing Act overview.
Yeah, so the town's having some technical difficulties with the laptop, but just from our summit and then speaking with the OICP, I've got an overview quick for the board regarding some changes in the new CSPA to do with misconduct. So for example, the charter, human rights, where an officer ought to have known if it contravenes the human rights code is in now with our misconduct, as well as the occupational health and safety to do with workplace violence and sexual harassment as well. Note taking, there's more additions to our misconducts that hadn't been in there before. So note taking used to be insubordination as per our policies and procedures is now added into misconduct. Our investigative timelines to do with public complaints. So there's a new public complaint system. It's replacing the OIPRD. It's called LECA. The timelines and investigations are similar to what we had done with the OIPRD. That is on our website, how to make a complaint through LECA, as well as our officers have been updated on the new complaint system. We're just still waiting for the forms, the ones that people, if they wanted to make a complaint in person at our station, the forms haven't been given to us, the updated ones, so we're still told to use the OIPRD forms as well. So just to go through, hearings are going to be different, more of a third party doing the hearings, and a right to report some misconduct to do with mandatory reporting. So officers, for example, if they had seen a fellow officer doing something that constitutes misconduct, they shall make a report to myself or to this LECA or the code of conduct. Our McNeil reporting, this is continuing. So if a police officer has been charged with a serious offense, they shall disclose that in a court setting, for example. The McNeil filing is still there. Special constables, there is a lot change to do with special constables. We had 2 special constables. We're down to 1. We're going to be hiring another one. There is mandatory training that special constables have to do that's different than what they did before. It's a 2-week training, as well as their uniforms. The vehicle is distinct to ours, and holding out as a police officer becomes an offense. So there's special duties under this new act that special constables can do, and there is a number of them that they can do now that is going to helping the service. For example, Mental Health Act, Prisoner Escorts Provincial Offenses, Trespassing to Property Act, Cannabis Act, They can lay informations. So there's a number of things that special constables will be able to do to assist a police service. So in our policies and procedures, we'll have to upgrade for special constables under this new act because they are subject to public complaints as well as police officers. And then under the new act with conflicts of interest, police services boards must establish conflict of interest policies as well as the chief and steps to avoid conflict of interest. So especially in a smaller service where there could be a conflict of interest, I'd advise the board if there is, and that's when we look at outside agencies to do an investigation. So for example, even if an officer has somebody that's known to them, this happens in a small town. Say I'm a police officer and somebody has a criminal investigation of somebody that I know, I would then have to report that to my supervisor so that we ensure that there's no conflict and that somebody who doesn't know the parties investigate the complaint. And if it's something major, then I would report to the board that we'd have to look at an outside agency to do that complaint, which we've done before. And then again, with conflict of interest, police services may not investigate its own sworn members if the alleged criminal conduct involves any bias, prejudice, or hate-based or protected grounds. So for example, intimate partner violence, abuse of a vulnerable person, abuse of a position of trust or authority over the victim, organized crime. So anything to do with that, I would be looking at an outside agency to do that. Now, having said that, say, for example, there is an intimate partner violence incident that happens with a member within this jurisdiction, we would act, but then we would have another service do the investigation, for example, because you have a duty that you shall arrest in an intimate partner violence situation. And then there's conflict of interest limits don't apply to decisions required at the moment. So for example, if you're preventing the harm or death of a person, you're apprehending a person, you have to detain them for investigative purposes, obtain or preserve evidence or protect property, then we shall act. And again, they'd have to notify us, excuse me, a supervisor if there is a conflict of interest, and fail to do so would result in a misconduct.
How would misconduct be treated? Does it result in a suspension of duties or potentially termination?
Yeah, so now for this, under this new act, if there's a serious offense that an officer commits, they can be suspended without pay. So but that's the chief's discretion. Serious offense, for example, a major homicide or something like that didn't happen previously. You'd see officers that have been charged with major offenses and even convicted and still being paid. The chief in this new act has the authority to suspend an officer without pay, which for public transparency made a big difference, and for chiefs across the province as well, to have that option.
A positive move.
Yeah. So that is just a quick overview. I'm going to supply that as well when I clear it through the OICP public to our website, if that is okay. And just to give you a little bit of an overview on the changes of misconduct and what our roles are and the difference between OIPRD and LECA, which we have LECA on our website and a link to make those complaints.
Okay. Thank you. Questions or comments from any members of the board? No? So just a question regarding special constables.
Yep.
So they have the authority to arrest or release individual acting under the direction of a police officer, prepare and serve summons. When it says under the direction, is it the officer have to be with them? Or,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Physically present.
Yeah.
Okay. But there is a lot more duties here
There's a lot more duties, and they really have to differentiate themselves uniform-wise than a police officer so that nobody can link them as a police officer. And in the past, police special constables and other services, you'd see them driving the police vehicles, and there's no differentiation between them for the public. So this allowed them, we had the light blue shirts for our specials, but even the pants have to be different. So a purple stripe, for example, down the side. And if there is a special that's doing a prisoner escort for us, they can't use one of our cruisers. So if we have a plain car, that's acceptable. Or if we get a magnet that says special constable and just put it on the car. So you're gonna see differences in that. But it will be helpful for our service to use our specials a little bit more than we have prior to COVID, when they were there at the courts in Smith Falls, and now that the courts have closed, it'd be a great opportunity to utilize our specials a little bit more to help the officers out with some of the other duties.
So would you be able to sort of quantify the amount of work that a regular officer would do today that could be assumed by a special officer on things like executing warrants or preparing and serving summons?
So even the transporting traffic, for example, if we had a construction company in the summer that wanted traffic detail, to offset that of officers as a paid duty, we could use specials to do traffic. Once they're properly trained and certified by the ministry, obviously, but they can swear to informations, they provide security, so even prisoner care and control. And as I've mentioned, and I'll mention again, our court security grant used to be quite low. And this year, the prior chief and I had worked on the last year's grant. They used to give us less than $2,000. This year, they gave us over $34,000, so that can offset some of the costs that we use for our officers, even for prisoner care and control. Our wash court is here in Smith Falls over the weekend that OPP used, as well as Smith Falls. We can use specials for that. We can use specials to serve subpoenas. There's a lot of things that we'd be able to do once they're properly trained. And it could be a flexible position where if somebody had a job that when we need somebody to assist an officer, it doesn't take away at all from our frontline staff, but at least it helps on some of the things. Even ride programs, for example, you wanted to do a ride program with snowmobiles or off-road, they're coming through town, we could use them to help with that. Special events, traffic detail, assisting officers, like I said, with arrests, with subpoenas. There's a number of things that they can do that we haven't used our specials for, and we should be using them for.
So I guess we're looking to maybe a consensus from the board to have you come back in the future with maybe a bit of a business plan when it comes to use of special constables and how we maybe should leveraging these changes in the Act to, I guess, relieve some of the work of the front line and be also a cost-efficient method of providing some policing services. Does everyone agree with that?
I think it's great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, manager's report.
Yeah, it's too bad this isn't on the screen. Manager's report. So for the month of March, there was 668 calls for service.
Do you want me to do that, Jody?
No, it's okay. So some of our noteworthy calls, we had over 70 criminal charges were laid. 21 were intimate partner violence related ones, 6 assaults, no break and enters, 7 warrants, 6 bail compliance, no sexual assault reports. And there was extensive amount of graffiti that was across town that the investigation is still ongoing. Mental health related calls, we had 36 with a 3% apprehension rate and approximately just under 2-hour wait time, the longest being almost 4 hours. And again, that's when it's more of a critical crisis intervention where there's potential for violence or the person is violent, that they have to stay at the hospital until they get formed. So uniform patrol, traffic enforcement, and our STEP target. We have 15 reported collisions, 24 complaints, 68 vehicle stops with 38 charges laid under the Highway Traffic Act. So some of our charges were relating to speeding, stunt driving, drive under suspension, no license, disobeying stop signs, operating vehicle unsafely, for example. Laid 5 charges under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. 1 charge was laid under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act for not having insurance, which minimum is a $10,000 fine, 5 to 10,000. Alcohol, criminal, traffic-related offenses. We had 2 impaired operation of a motor vehicle, 2 exceeding over 80 milligrams of alcohol, 2 charges of having open liquor in a vehicle, 2 charges with open cannabis and original packaging, possession of Schedule 1 substance, and a novice driver that had their blood alcohol level over 0. So some of our more proactive policing, besides the traffic that we did 21 hours of foot patrol, 14 hours of community service, school visits. We had 8 hours in the school last month. Our CIB and CISO have been very busy. They've been doing some drug-related activity during that month. Investigating report of a suspicious person. There was a gunshot that was heard and seen in the area of Conde Street that hit a moving vehicle. We believe that was a targeted issue and no public safety. Nobody was injured, and that is still under investigation. There was a CISO conference that the officer went to. There's a historical sexual assault still under investigation. Missing person investigation is still continuing. 3 arrest warrants. There was a criminal court trial that went on, and as well as they had to assist our frontline on patrol. Community service officer, he's been busy getting the property ready for an auction that is going to be taking place in May, and we'll be advertising that shortly. Conducting presentations with the Big Brothers and R&J relating to child exploitation and as well as intimate partner violence, healthy relationship. That's to do with our Proceeds of Crime POC grant that we gave to Big Brothers and R&J with police assistance. There was a presentation at the high school with victim services and the SADV, and that was, we supported that with our victim services grant to the high school to do with IPV, human trafficking, etc. He had some meetings with high school to do with threat assessment, case conferences, and he's started already with the bike rodeo that's taking place in June, as well as visiting area schools. So other events that we had in March was major case management. One of the sergeants went on a course. There was a mental health prevention exercise that we had for all staff. We did all staff Crown training to do with child exploitation, court testimony, and IPV cases, and how to prepare those cases from the very beginning to the end and follow through. That was part of our victim support grant that I had the 2 expert Crowns from Ottawa who are experts in child exploitation and IPV, and I sat in on it. Most of it that happened at the arena, and we invited our OPP partners to participate, and it was really eye-opening to see what they do and even how much has changed from my frontline patrol to now, what we're doing and how we're investigating these cases. And it was really helpful for a lot of our newer staff and even our staff that have been here a while, and what we need to ensure when we get these cases, especially with the child exploitation and images and IP addresses and things that we're seeing out there. And then there was a CEO day for chiefs and in Ottawa. I had the board meeting, so I sent our staff sergeant to that and had a lot to do with the CSPA as well. I just wanted to make note that the Smith Falls Police Association sponsored a free skate for the community during March break with some of the Bears players, and it was well received, and they all had a lot of fun. And go Bears, because they're heading to hopefully get the Bogart Cup. And of course, fan favorite for me is number 11, Kyle Dagg. So anyways, I wish the Bears all the best of luck for their game. Looking forward to watching the playoffs. So Our Health IM quarterly reports, and again, apologize that it's not on the screen because it is nice to see. Our call volume for January to March was 113 with a 4% apprehension rate and an hour 50 minutes of an average wait time for those 3 months. So
How's that 113 compared to most quarters?
So I'm gonna
Okay.
just touch on that. So last year, we were at 126, so we were down to 113. We had a 9% apprehension rate last year and 55-minute wait time. So the wait time was a little bit higher, but we were down in our apprehensions, which is a good thing.
Good.
I'm gonna post this after our meeting online as well, and I'll send the board a copy of,
Yeah.
actually you have a copy, yes. I'll put this online to show the public the difference. Our business quarterly for January to March, we had 200 vehicle stops, 55 hours of foot patrol, 52 hours in the school, and 26 other hours in the community. Total calls for service was 1,812 calls. And in comparison to last year, we had a few more vehicle stops in 2023, but our call volume was a little bit up this year than it was last year. We had more hours in the school. There was only 36 in 2023, which we bumped up to 52. So a lot of prevention is going on, which we're, especially with our community service officer being engaged and doing presentations, and especially for the youth and the images that they're still with that education piece with younger and younger kids having access to cell phones at school, and it's so important for us to teach them in a school setting the dangers of these phones. And once you send the images out there, that's it, they're gone. Can't take them back. So it can be quite damaging for a young person to have that and be dealing with that. So a lot of that is our education piece. And that's it for our full manager's report, and I'll post that online today.
Thank you. Questions or comments? No? Okay. Well, thanks for the update. Next meeting scheduled for May 15th at 8 a.m. Motion for adjournment. Jen, Bob, all in favor? It's adjourned. Thank you.
Record time.